Up next is our first keynote presentation. Sharron Wall is the Portfolio Director of Research and Development Fund at the Innovation Institute at the Massachusetts Technology Collaborative. We call it MassTech. MassTech is a state economic development agency that strives to strengthen the competitiveness of tech and innovation economy by driving strategic investments, partnerships, and insights that harness the talent of Massachusetts. Working at the intersection of state, industry, academia, nonprofit, and other key stakeholder communities, the Innovation Institute supports the growth of priority industry clusters within the Commonwealth's technology and innovation sectors. The MassTech Collaborative provided the original funding for the Massachusetts Open Cloud Alliance back in 2014 with the $3 million collaborative research matching grant, and we have had their instrumental and continued support since then. In her role as Portfolio Director of the R&D Fund and the Innovation Institute, Sharron oversees fund investments in both the Research and Development Matching Grant Program and Technology and Innovation Ecosystem Awards. She strengthens the economic development outcomes, supports sector advancing research, and leverages the capital investments for outgoing benefits, as well as aligning programs and resource commitments with the fund portfolio. Prior to joining MassTech, Sharron held leadership positions at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and at UMass Memorial Healthcare. We welcome Sharron and thank you for being here to discuss the importance of this MOC and MassTech relationship.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you to the Mock Alliance leadership in inviting us here today. Research and discovery is what differentiates us in the Commonwealth. Massachusetts attracts more R&D investment than any state aside from California. We are a leading technology hub. I'm going to speak a little bit about our role at the MassTech Collaborative, both at the MassTech Collaborative level and then specifically about the Innovation Institute. As Nancy mentioned in the intro, our role is to strengthen the competitiveness of the tech and innovation economy with strategic investments, partnerships, and gaining insights that harness the talent of Massachusetts. We were established in 1982 by state law, and we're comprised of 5 divisions. You can see the MBI, the Mass Cyber Center, the Mass eHealth Institute, the Innovation Institute, of which I'm part of, and the CAM organization, the Center for Advanced Manufacturing. MassTech forecasts to deploy approximately $75 million in grant funding this year. With the introduction of our new administration, the Healy-Driscoll administration, we have opportunities now to also reach the federal competitive level. So not only have we focused on state funding, this administration is very excited and ambitious and competitive, as you can imagine, in their interest to seek federal funding as well, federal funding opportunities. In that, they have introduced in their budgets that is under review in legislation, matching funds to help secure those federal initiatives and opportunities. We are in the process of evaluating several of those opportunities, leading consortiums and highlighting key assets and resources and talent that the state offers in the Commonwealth. The Mass Green High Performance Computing Center is an example of a critical resource for the research enterprise. So as we respond to these grants and they ask us questions, what makes an exciting tech hub? What makes a successful ecosystem? Having capabilities and infrastructure and the talent to support those tech hubs is what should attract us in Massachusetts to those capabilities. An example of this, led by the Center for Advanced Manufacturing, one of our sister divisions. They participated with a coalition, standing up a coalition of 85 organizations, 7 states, which submitted collaboratively under actually the MassTech leadership for an ME Commons grant. Again, offering matching state funds, which the Healy and Driscoll administration stands behind. We had the pleasure of meeting with Secretary Howe recently for our MassTech board meeting, where she continues to enhance and support the excitement around these competitive opportunities. So more specifically, my backyard, the Innovation Institute. And again, I'm one of the newer members of the organization. We focus on 4 key areas to drive economic growth: university and nonprofit research and development, much of which we're talking about today, cluster development, innovation ecosystems, and research and analysis. On the following slides, I'll highlight a few of those programs and cluster development activities. The Collaborative Research Matching Grant Program is our flagship program. This program seeks to build on and expand collaboration amongst research institutions and leading technology firms through strategic investments. This is a bond-backed fund, and it requires a 1-to-1 match, with a goal of spillover impacts into the market. We target investments with a high level of technology readiness level. This is a snapshot of the R&D portfolio, a 1-year snapshot of this past year. There are certainly previous investments and continued investments that are not listed here that have just recently been approved. As you can see, there are 6 priority sectors that are highlighted here, even though we have applications and concepts for many more. But in terms of quantum, space and defense, cyber, blue tech, advanced manufacturing, and robotics. You can see many of the organizations that we're talking about in the coalition and the alliance, the Mock Alliance, are participants and recipients of several grants. UMass, MIT, BU, Harvard, Northeastern, WPI are all listed in these discrete categories. But one example, and actually we should say a half dozen of our prior investments, leverage the resources and capabilities of the MGH PCC, and certainly the capabilities that will be coming out of the Mock Alliance. All of these investments are going to have required computational analysis and research computing capability needs. So as you can imagine, a simple example, I had the opportunity to meet with the BU RASTIC team on the robotics autonomous program. They will be leveraging these capabilities as well, just as one example. Enough cannot be said about industry engagement and industry involvement. The role of industry is critical to success for any of these programs. Our programs emphasize the role of industry for a thriving economy and the supporting talent and workforce development that is required to sustain it. The next slide truly talks about where we modified our initial R&D program and offered a new Tech and Innovation Ecosystem Grant Program, which is fairly new, launched last year, with the intent to gain real commercialization focus. Top of the TRL level, moving closer to the manufacturing readiness level. So it should align very well with a lot of the federal programs, and it was very insightful of the organization to have planned in advance to target the primary sectors that they're looking at, as well as what we're looking at, and the manufacturing component, which there's a huge emphasis to bring more of those capabilities nearshore and onshore. This program also targets shared technology systems and platforms. That infrastructure is primarily a huge example of what you're doing today, and providing funding opportunities to underserved communities in STEM. These are a few of the initial investments that are to be announced, and these are in the area of marine tech, blockchain, both of which were nonprofits, and to a university, Western New England University, to establish a fintech incubator in Western Mass. Interestingly enough, it's such a tight world. Our PI there also scheduled time to meet with John and his team to tour the MGH PHCC to look at what the capabilities were there, because many of these institutions do not have the funds or the scale to stand up the environments that you have access to. A few of the additional programs that feed this ecosystem are the Entrepreneur Mentorship Grants, which are to enable community-based incubators and accelerators to provide startup support. MTIP is about connecting students to career opportunities at emerging tech firms. So it's really important to us that you participate both at the industry and the academic level to support those internships and really get that workforce pipeline thriving. Tech Talent Diversity Initiative programs are about supporting greater opportunity and equity in tech centers. All of these components feed that broader ecosystem. I'm going to touch a little bit on cluster development. Some of the activities we have around cluster development. Initially here, we're showing our FinTech activity. This is convening and collaborating with a cross-disciplinary community of FinTech innovators to align the landscape for future growth. Similarly, we're having similar activities in the blockchain cluster. You can imagine that's an interesting space right now. That's got a lot of focused attention. And we're developing activities, including an assessment of the industry activity statewide. So some of what we do also is conduct assessments to understand what resources and capabilities are in our environment that we can leverage as a community. In the robotics space, the Innovation Institute convenes a stakeholder forum. As you can see, many of your colleagues are represented here. We have folks from BU, MIT, industry, all represented in this robust robotics cluster. And I would say more mature than some of the other clusters. This is a little bit off of the area that you may focus, but it's an exciting area that also will need a lot of computational capabilities. And that's the investments that we've supported for the Seaport Economic Council for blue tech initiatives. Pretty cool stuff. Positioning Mass as the national leader in the global blue economy. Quantum computing. When we started to target concept paper responses on quantum computing, I don't think anybody anticipated it would take off that quickly in terms of the interest. Early investments in UMass Boston quantum program, as an example, has already shown strong industry interest and collaboration and outcomes. A study is underway today. Thank you to your participation. Many of you have participated in that assessment, and we hope to have that available soon. And this is to really assess our quantum computing landscape in Massachusetts. And finally, the artificial intelligence space. Artificial intelligence, as all of you know, machine learning, artificial intelligence, will consume every ounce of capability that you make available, and it will continue to grow and expand and consume. So it's very critical to understand how to engage with stakeholders in this community and drive the strategy and competitiveness that we want to have in Massachusetts. AI is a priority sector, which is of great interest to the state's economic competitiveness. Massachusetts is considered the birthplace of AI, given our long-standing reputation as a concentrated intellectual hub with big tech presence. So this all being said about what are the things that we do and the investments that we make, we had the benefit of being one of the, and I wasn't there, so I cannot take personal credit, but on behalf of MassTech, we were part of the initial seed funding, as was the Commonwealth directly. And it's a powerful story of collaboration across academia, the public sector, and industry in the private sector. Starting with the initial seed fund from the Commonwealth, by the state, in the MGH PCC, following with the Mass Open Cloud, and the NERC. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, these are just illustrative, but you can see that federal funding, state funding, industry funding, all coming together and collaborating and building and growing on your expertise and your research and the work that's been done here has helped position the state not only for a very positive, strong, data-intensive computing ecosystem, but it provides us the opportunity to be even more competitive on the national stage as well. Critical investments made by industry, in addition to what we have been able to support, is a continued need. This will not stop, as I just mentioned. The computing power needed, the technology sectors that are thriving and growing, those clusters that are developing, all need a home. And they all need these capabilities. So any of the grants that we fund, we have conversations with our constituents and we ask them, if you have these significant needs, and we're reaching out into more rural communities as well, where could you get those needs rather than standing up your own architecture and your own infrastructure? Take advantage and make sure you know about what the Mock Alliance is doing, what the NERC is doing, what MGH PCC is doing, and how that ecosystem can accommodate you in your research needs. So we want to make sure that we're driving those individuals to you and driving our investments, continued investments in this space to support you and the work that you do here. Together though, I think it'll be important, and we ask to make that call to continue to extend out to under-resourced institutions and communities within the Commonwealth. In closing, I'll leave you with one of your own professor's thoughts that I share, but that she said already eloquently. True innovation requires big tech, and by big tech I mean industry, academia, and government to work together, to collaborate together, to combine their resources and their investments to accelerate and grow. To tackle truly big problems, the government must act as an engine for academia and industry. Thank you.